Good evening, I'm Brendan Miller. Thank you for joining us. City staff continue to look at alterations to how Thunder Bay City Council operates, with changes meant to benefit City Council and the public. One of those items includes recorded voting. Recorded votes are when each council member clearly states how they are voting on a motion, which is then officially recorded and included in the meeting minutes. Currently, members of council vote by a show of hands, and there are no recorded votes at committee of the whole meetings, unless specifically asked for by the mayor or councilors. City Clerk Krista Powers says this is just one of the changes they're looking at. She says one method isn't necessarily better than the other.
When there is a contentious issue before council, the media is there. You can watch it on TV. You can see who puts their hands in the air for the yes and who puts their hands down for the no. The other thing I would say is that there's opportunity for people to go back at a later point if we were to record votes within our minutes going forward and take a look at that in a year, 2 years. Not that that information isn't available now, but it may be harder to find. I'm not sure that there's necessarily a benefit. Again, at this point, we're still in our review because of the fact that council makes decision by majority.
Powers says they're still looking for feedback on City Council's governance structure. The survey on the Get Involved website will remain available until March 31st. A home on Highway 102 burned to the ground yesterday morning, but fortunately, no one was hurt. The fire broke out at around 6 a.m. when halfway between Auto Road and Mud Lake Road, volunteer fire crews from Oliver Papoonge and Kaministiquia attended the blaze. Camp Fire Chief Jack Drews says the home was already fully engulfed in flames and could not be saved. The homeowner escaped uninjured. A portion of Highway 102 was completely closed for over an hour while fire crews mobilized around the fire scene. Drews says because the home was destroyed, the cause of the fire will likely remain undetermined. The Samuel Risley icebreaker arrived at the local harbor, but a sudden snowfall anchored the vessel, delaying the arrival of the year's first cargo ship. Emma Chilton reports.
The shipping season is 4 days ahead of schedule this year, but with the sudden snowfall on Sunday, it has stopped the ice clearing by the Samuel Risley icebreaker. The icebreaker, the Risley, arrived in the local harbor early Sunday morning and managed to do initial ice breaking. Port CEO Chris Heikkinen says the visibility worsened as the day went on due to the snow and does not allow the Risley to work safely.
Chances are they'll be back at it on Monday, and then with the clear weather, you'll probably see the ship crossing through that breakwall. Hopefully sometime on Monday, but you can never be 100% sure.
The Risley icebreaker is anchored at the Kiefer terminal and awaiting for the weather to clear. This delay in work will also hold up the arrival of the season's first cargo ship, the Captain Henry Jackman, which will be loaded up with grain at the Richardson terminal. The ship left Sault Ste. Marie right after the Soo locks opened up on Saturday and arrived in the local harbor behind the Risley early Sunday morning.
And the vessel that we were anticipating to come in to harbor today, they're anchored safely outside of the breakwall. And that's a good place for them to be while they wait out the storm.
Heikkinen says it's tradition to hold a top hat ceremony for the first ship of the season. The ceremony was originally going to be held Monday morning, but has now been pushed back for a day or two.
We, as a tradition, we always host a ceremony to welcome the first ship that enters our port during the shipping season. That kind of kicks things off in the spring, and so we're going to be hosting a top hat ceremony. We'll be bestowing the captain of the first vessel with this traditional top hat, and of course, some gifts and a welcome from the community. There'll be some community leaders in attendance and participating in that event, and we're really looking forward to kicking things off for another successful shipping season with a top hat ceremony.
Emma Chilton, TBT News.
A Thunder Bay resident and First Nations elder has won this year's CBC Canada Reads competition. Manyi Shakabi is a Two-Spirit Ojibwe Cree writer, artist, storyteller, and activist. And now she's also the 2025 Canada Reads winner. Justin Hardy has this story.
The winner of Canada Reads 2025 is a Two-Spirit Journey.
Oh my gosh. Championed by Shayla Stonechild, a First Nations podcaster and wellness advocate, Manish Kabi's autobiography, A Two-Spirit Journey, tells the story of her life as she comes to terms with her identity. Stonechild fiercely lobbied the Canada Reads panel during the final stage of the CBC competition, saying it's an important story to be told.
Here in Canada, there's 1.3 million people that identify that part of the LGBTQ plus community, yet a lot of them don't experience safety in their own body and they don't feel like a sense of home. And so that's what I admire about her journey is regardless of her not having an actual safe home, she still opened up her doors for everyone.
Shikabe says she isn't as excited about winning as she is to know that more people will now be able to connect with her story. The book was first released at an event at Lakehead University in 2016. It chronicles Shikabe's life from her childhood growing up in Ambabaka to her struggles with abuse and alcohol and finally her healing journey. She says she hopes the book's newfound prominence will inspire other people.
Especially want First Nations to read the book so they can start writing their stories or even have their grandmothers or their moms or their dads to write stories, and maybe the young people can encourage their parents, hey, tell us your story, we want to learn about your story.
In order to win Canada Reads 2025, A Two-Spirit Journey had to pass through 4 rounds of debate and voting. Stonechild did not waver in her support of Shikabe's work. Shikabe and Stonechild met online because they wanted to get to know each other, and now their bond is stronger than ever, according to Shikabe.
I think of her as my granddaughter now because she's my little warrior who did the book, and she championed the book, and she did a great job, and I'm so proud of her.
Shikabe urges everyone, young and old, to find any way they can to tell their stories.
The ones that speak English and the ones that don't, you can translate things to them and tell them that they should start writing their story for our future of our generations coming up.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Over 4 metric tons of fish just made their way from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay, thanks to a shipment from Harvest Manitoba to the Regional Food Distribution Association. Weighing in at over 4,000 kilograms, the amount of fish is enough for over 27,000 meals for people that need them. The latest batch was carp, while previous shipments included lake trout and whitefish. The RFDA has already cleaned, gutted, and frozen the fish into 1 kilogram packages, so families can easily use them at home. Sourced from lakes near Winnipeg, the fish had to be transported and processed fast to keep them fresh. RFDA Distribution and Logistics Manager George Noonan says it pays to be prepared.
We're working with the other agencies in other areas, plus the food banks and agencies that we provide with as well. So we just have to be prepared, let everyone know what's happening, and then we also have to have a good volunteer base, which we're fortunate to have, and then they work on the production side of getting the fish prepared and getting that out.
We package them in 1 kilogram packages, so that's feeding 4,000 people, like homes, and so yeah, it's a lot of food.
The fish also supports the RFDA's recent push to try and provide more fresh meat to their recipients. At this month's Police Service Board meeting, there was discussion of the waterways around Thunder Bay and how they're currently being policed and watched over. Due to the new provincial policing legislation, the conversation at the meeting was about possibly putting that onus back on the local police service rather than the OPP. There's been an understanding in place that the OPP would be responsible in handling the patrol and watch of Thunder Bay's waterways, with search and rescue partially being handled by local fire and rescue teams. Now, the new Community Safety and Policing Act could swing the balance back to the local police. This is not a surefire thing. As chair of the Thunder Bay Police Services Board, Karen Machado points out, there's plenty of information they need before taking any action.
We've historically had a memorandum of agreement with the Ontario Provincial Police to provide that service. Now what we need to make sure, as you heard, do we want to take that on ourselves or do we want to continue status quo with the OPP? And then there's, it grows and grows and grows. Are they able to provide that effective and efficient policing? Will they be doing those things? What are the costs associated with both levels? So we can make an informed decision. So we need more information.
Moving forward, the plan is to come back to the topic in future meetings once more information is obtained. That could include everything from costs to training to number of officers and more. For the time being, the OPP will continue to keep the waterways safe.
Through our work, the governance role, as I said, we need to look through the Act and ensure we're in compliance with that Act. So this is something that's come up and we go, oh, what do we have for this now? What are we doing? And so that's we're at the early stages.